Good morning, moms. I hope you're doing well today. And if you're not doing well, know that you're not alone, that there are people out there who understand what you're going through, who are probably going through some of the same things. And there's a supportive community that you can be a part of to help you get through this. We are going to continue our discussion today about the benefits of getting help and what are some of the things that maybe come up for you that get in the way of you asking for help. And we're talking about kind of the internal objections that you might have that prevent you from doing something that would be really helpful for you. So let's think about, there's all kinds of things that we do in our life that are good for us and help us. And we do them because we believe they're helpful. We believe that they're going to make a difference. So it's quite easy to do them. One thought that comes to my mind right off the top of my head is wearing seatbelts. We don't think anything about getting in the car and putting the seatbelt on because we know it helps us, it keeps us safe, and if there were ever an accident, it would help, hopefully, um, make sure that we survived that accident. So when we think about asking for help, it's the same thing as a seatbelt. It helps us. It's going to protect our mental health. It's going to help us cope better and feel better. But yet, we've got all these internal objections that can get in the way and make it difficult for us to do something that would be just as helpful and just as safe as wearing a seatbelt. So, when we protect our mental health, that's promoting our wellness, our safety, and our ability to be there for the people who mean the most to us, our children and our partners and our families. So let's just dig into this a little bit. So I want to tell you about a client that I worked with who was having a really big struggle with the internal objections that got in the way of her asking for help. And this particular client was a teacher, and sometimes I find teachers have a really hard time with this concept in particular and transitioning to motherhood because these are women who can handle a class of like 25 or 30 children, and they do it. Like they are on their game and they can manage a room full of probably quite energetic, rambunctious, and maybe even challenging children at times. So they go into motherhood thinking, one baby, like that's going to be a breeze for me. However, it's very, very different when you're caring for a new baby, when you're feeling like I maybe don't know as much, I'm not as competent in this as I am in my teaching. And you're doing it with great sleep deprivation, which compromises all of us. So, this particular teacher, she was struggling, and we talked about asking for help, and she just kept getting in her own way. She would say things like, I should be able to do this. I can manage a room full of 25 students, so I should be able to figure out one baby. Like this one baby can't be my undoing. She would also say things like, I don't want people to know how much I suck at motherhood. Like she really prided herself on being a really good teacher and very competent in her skill. And she then saw herself as incompetent as a mom because she couldn't do it all by herself. But she was getting in her own way with that belief because it wasn't actually true. She didn't suck at being a mom, it was just really hard. Some of the other things she would say to herself is that I'm weak. I should be able to figure this out. And if I just try harder, I'll be able to figure it out. And she was also getting really hung up on what other people would think of her. So those were some of her internal objections that were making it difficult, if not impossible, for her to reach out and ask for the help that she really needed and that would really make a difference. So with some support and with some encouragement, she was able to break through those internal objections and be able to ask for the help. So what she experienced before when she was struggling, suffering on her own, and kind of putting up all these roadblocks that I can't ask for help because it means that I don't know what I'm doing. It means I'm weak. It means I'm a failure. But when she was in that state, she was suffering. She wasn't coping as well as she would want. She was not enjoying her time with the baby the way she had hoped and wanted, which also just kind of was like a snowball of negativity that just kept getting bigger and harder for her. Once she was able to break through those objections, and lean into asking for help and getting some help, it all changed. It's such a powerful tool that makes such a big difference. So not only did she feel better physically, she also felt better emotionally and mentally. So she didn't have some of those thoughts anymore. She didn't feel like I suck at motherhood. She didn't feel like she was a failure. She had better perspective. So she could see, yeah, I'm having maybe a hard day today, but she didn't internalize that to mean that she was not cut out to be a mom. So by doing something, breaking through those internal objections, asking for help, she improved. Her coping improved, her enjoyment of the baby and her life improved. So it makes a really big difference. So, do you come up with things that you say to yourself in your head about what it means to ask for help? Do you say some maybe nasty things about yourself when you think about your need to ask for help? If that's the case, I want you to grab a piece of paper right now and a pen. And I want you to write what that nasty thought is that runs through your head when I suggest you should really ask for help. It would make a difference. You deserve to ask for help. What's that thought? Is it, I'm a failure? I should know what I'm doing? Is it, I feel like a burden? Is it, people don't want to help me? Is it, I should have got this figured out? I should know how to do this? Whatever that thought is, write it down on that piece of paper. And then I want you to put a great big X through it. That is a nasty, negative thought that is not true and is not helpful. So we want to X out that thought and we want to replace it with a new thought, which is, it is good to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. And when I do that, things will feel better. This is a really big piece, women, that we need to improve on, we need to get better at. And I encourage you to do it. I know it's hard. I know it doesn't feel comfortable, but that actually tells us we're in the right ballpark when it feels kind of uncomfortable, because it means we're growing. And growing brings healing, it brings growth, and usually it means things get better. I want that for you. I will look forward to connecting with you next time. Bye for now.